Hello everyone, this is Jason. Welcome back to my campaign, my Olympus campaign of Kingdom Death Monster. If you remember, the White Lion level 1 fight from Lantern Year number 1 was the last thing that actually happened. And we made it to that fight in decent shape. Actually had one of my characters, Eve, has a -1 permanent strength. She came back with a gaping chest wound. But other than that, it was a pretty successful hunt. You see the resources that we got from the White Lion laid out in front of you. And we're going to go ahead and start the settlement phase. And so we're going to start the settlement phase for Lantern Year number 2. So starting off with the board, set up the settlement. I've done that, as you can see, laid out in front of you. Coming forward, survivors return. What you actually do at that step is you erase all of the light and heavy injuries that your characters actually suffered throughout the fight, and we've already done that. Step number 3, you're looking at endeavors. So 4 returning survivors garners us 4 endeavors, and we step forward and we will update the timeline. One of the things that I failed to do, and it's one of the house rules that I actually use, I use this house rule because it's a way to introduce the promo cards that come with some of the sets. There's not really a good way to do it. So what I've done is I've incorporated a system where the survivor that actually deals the killing blow to the monster gets to roll a d10. On a Lantern 10, they get possibly one of these random special cards that come with some of the sets. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to roll. If you remember from the last video, Eve was the one. Was it Eve? No, it was Athena. Athena was the one that dealt the killing blow to the lion. So Athena will roll a d10 and add any luck she has. She has no luck, so she needs a Lantern 10 to actually get one of these special items. So that is actually a Lantern 10. So we'll go ahead and grab the list of special items that come with some of the sets. And so you see I've sleeved them, and I've even added some of the gear recipes in here too. It tells you how to get the gear recipes, but I put them into this set of cards and kind of say, hey, look, if I roll and I get them, then we get the gear recipe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I've got 16 cards. We'll roll a dice. First 8, second 8. So it's going to be the second 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be one of these cards. We'll re-roll 9s and 10s. Re-rolling that. It's a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what we actually get off of the White Lion, or what Athena gets, is going to be cloth leggings. So we'll take a closer look up here at the lower screen. So if you look, cloth leggings okay, and it's an accessory. It says when you suffer the bleeding or bloody thighs, severe leg injuries, only gain 1 bleeding token. So that's not so bad. And it is a 1 armor. Not the best of gear cards, but not bad for free. It says the innovation required is ammonia. So what I actually say is I have found this on the White Lion, but I can now build it if I want. The cost is 1 cloth, and it says on the back of the card, 1 cloth, 1 hide. So if I wanted to, I could build this for more of my settlement. But for right now, Athena has this on her character. So if you see off to the right, I have placed this on her gear grid. So again, good way to introduce my house rule of introducing these promotional cards. Like I said, I don't know of a good way to do it, and so that's how I do it, so that I actually use those cards that came with some of those sets. All right, update the timeline. So step 4 on the chart. And so I will update the timeline. So we are on lantern year number 2. And the first thing that happens is we're going to go ahead and draw a settlement event card. So let me give this a good shuffle. Okay. Shuffle them up. And I've got these really nice big sleeves that make it really easy to shuffle it. Just to make sure it's random, we're going to go ahead and take the 6th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And that settlement event is Dark Trader. Let me go ahead and read that to you. So a corpulent man reclines on a chair, carried on backs of 4 cloaked men. He offers to sell the settlement many amazing treasures. Each item may be purchased once. So what I could buy is Strange Brew, costing me 6 resources. So later on in the campaign, when I have excess resources, I might decide to do that. 1 to 2, you're dead. 3 to 9, Rageaholic and intracranial hemorrhage. Only on a 10 do you get a +1 permanent accuracy. Well, no, I don't think I will ever buy that Strange Brew. Pink Stone, which is 2 resources. Oh, 3 through 9, I could get a Founding Stone. 1 through 2 is just a rock. And a 10, my survivor gets the Immortal Disorder. That's not bad. Let's see what happens at the end of this, see how many resources we have. Though I think I'm going to have to bypass this right now. The initial resources really need to be used to deck out my survivors and give them some better chance of surviving. Shiny, sexy jeweled thong. Well, I'd love to buy that, but -1 accuracy on a 1 to 2 because it's so uncomfortable. 3 to 9, it falls apart, and then only on a 10 do I get a +1 permanent luck. So let's put Dark Trader off to the side. I don't think on Lantern Year number 2 I'm going to give away resources to have a chance at some good stuff. All right, so the next thing on the sheet, we have Endless Screams. So that's actually an event in the book. So stand by. All right. So Endless Screams. Alright, so a scream pierces the silence around the settlement. As the noise fades, a chorus of horror rises up in answer. The settlement erupts into chaos, trying to comprehend the source of the terrible wail. You may now hunt the screaming antelope. Add it to the quarry list on the settlement record sheet. We'll do that. Nominate a single survivor to stand amidst the madness. They gain +1 courage to become the voice of reason. +1 courage and the voice of reason. I could give it to Hera. So Hera was the one that had to skip the hunt phase last time. She does have a 1 courage and a 1 understanding. But you know what? I think +1 courage becomes the voice of reason. I think I'm going to give it to Zeus. Maybe not. Zeus is crazed. Trying to stick with the theme of these characters. He's kind of crazy. I don't want to make him the voice of reason. So just for thematics, I think I'm going to make it Athena. So we'll give her a +1 courage. I'll fill in the courage box. It's her first one. Per the event, I'm going to fill in the screaming antelope. So it now becomes a quarry that we can hunt. And Athena is the voice of reason. So the voice of reason says, roll a d10. And then on a 1 and 2, well, I tell you what, I won't read you the whole thing. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and roll, and we'll see what happens, and then I'll read the result to you. So that's a 4. Remember, always higher is the better. But the mid-level range doesn't seem so bad. The survivor realizes the noise is most likely from another strange creature that lives out in the darkness. After some effort, They manage to calm the settlement. The survivor gains +1 understanding. Returning survivors gain +1 insanity. Excellent. So off to the side here are all my characters. Athena will also get +1 understanding, and we all get +1 insanity. So that's going to take Eve up to 6. It's going to take Athena up to 7. It's going to take Adam up to 7. And it's going to take Zeus up to 7. So all my survivors are doing pretty well with insanity. You need some insanity to protect your brain from the trauma that happens in this world. But once you get up too high, it's not such a good thing. Especially if you're hunting the screaming antelope. You don't want to be over 20. And there's a lot of hunt events that actually wipe all of your insanity out. And that's kind of traumatic when it happens because, like we said, insanity is armor for the brain. Okay, well, the next thing that happens is we're going to move forward and we're going to update the death count. So nobody died. We'll check other milestones and story events. So there are milestone events. Some of the milestones you get from some of the expansion sets. And just to let you see, I built a spreadsheet for mine to keep track of all the milestones. All the patterns I put on the left side, you get that when you get insight. And all the milestones I put over here. We can read through all these milestones really quick just to make sure that we haven't met any. And we have not. They may come into play later on in the campaign. But right now the starting survivors really don't have a chance to gain any of those milestones. And the milestones have special things that'll help your characters or not. Okay, moving forward, we've got the development phase. So, looking at our characters, if you remember at the end of the showdown, we kind of decked out Zeus. So Zeus has got a rawhide headband, a rawhide vest. He's got cloth, a bone axe, and monster grease. Adam has nothing but cloth. He's going to try to specialize in fist and tooth, since he can't really wield an axe very well. We saw that last time. Eve's got a -1 strength. She does have a sword, but she did get this leadership ability, which will help when we're encouraging people to stand up. And Athena was the one that killed the white lion, so she got these special cloth leggings from her role at the end. But she also has just a cloth. So what we need to do is we need to give these survivors some weapons. We have a bone axe and a bone sword. So that's really my goal, and another one of my goals is to armor out the characters. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to innovate. Like I said last time, innovation I consider pretty important. So off of the Lantern Horde, to innovate, you can do it once per settlement phase. It requires 1 endeavor. So here's the endeavor. You've got monster hide, monster organ, monster bone. So we'll go ahead and use up these basic resources to go ahead and innovate. So we'll grab our innovation deck, shuffle it up, and last time when we innovated we did get Symposium. So what Symposium is going to allow us to do is pull 4 cards, and then we actually get to decide out of those 4 cards which one do we want to keep. So we've got Inner Lantern. So Inner Lantern is going to give us the Surge ability, allowing us to use a survival and do an extra action. Hovel. So Hovel's pretty important. Departing survivors get +1. Your survival limit also goes up by +1. It's a rather important card because you want to give your settlement some shelter. Let me put this up here so you can see it better. Drums. We got that last time and passed up on it, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with drums. And storytelling. So storytelling came from the Symposium consequences that we added. It'll increase our survival limit, but we have to do 2 endeavors to do story time. Give us +1 understanding. All departing survivors gain 3 insanity. and you can possibly trigger the white speaker event. So I really was hoping we could have paint, because paint will give you dash, and dash is extremely important in this game too. It allows you to do an extra movement for survival. I think we're gonna not do drums, though the things you can get from the drums is pretty good. Storytelling, I think I'm gonna wait on that. I think I need some of these basic ones. When we depart, we actually, at this point, unless I start getting some equipment that allows me to gain survival, we don't get any survival when we leave. And all of my characters, all of the survivors, have 0 survival. So this hovel card actually will allow us to depart, and we get to actually gain a survival. Which, again, my survival limit is 3. It'll be 4 when I get this hovel. But what's good having a survival limit of 4 for my settlement when I can only gain, well, right now, gain 0. But I really want Inner Lantern. However, I'm going to have to go with hovel. We can debate this in the comments section. But right now, +1 survival. The settlement accepts this nightmarish landscape as its home. So we're going to build little huts. Departing survivors gain +1 survival. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then it says add hovel consequences into the innovation deck. So family's going to go in. Bed's going to go in. And partnership's going to go in. Okay, we'll go ahead and throw these into the innovation deck at random locations. Doesn't really matter, we'll shuffle before we draw another one. And that's it for this settlement phase. You can only draw 1. On my settlement record sheet, we're going to go ahead and update our survival limit. 4. And this little box here says departing survivors. Well, right now they get 1 thanks to hovel. So I'll mark that down here, hovel. And you get +1 survival and +1 at departure. Okay, not so bad. Like I said, I was wishing that I actually pulled dash, because dash will allow you to dash out of a lot of the range of character or monsters, and I like doing that a lot. It increases the survivability quite a bit. But then again, whenever you can get survival, it's good. So I think we did okay here. All right. Like I said, I need to give my characters a better set of armor. Whoever's going to be my tank, and looking like it's going to be Zeus right now. And I also need weapons. Out of the White Lion events, it says the first time you beat the White Lion, you add Caterium. So let's go ahead and add Caterium. Should have done that at the beginning. And so we could actually start building some lion weapons if we want, if we have the equipment for it. We could start on the White Lion armor set. We don't have claws, so we can't do Katars, can't do the clawhead arrow, can't do the king spear. Catgut bow requires a sinew and a bone. So if we actually want a bow, we could start on a bow. If we're going to have Adam concentrate on fist and tooth, he doesn't need a weapon. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to give Athena a bow. I like the bow a lot, so we're going to use the sinew and we're going to use this bone. And we're going to give her the catgut bow. So here's the catgut bow. Give you a close-up look at it. Okay. Let you read that for a second, and then I'll read it in the camera. Okay, so the catgut bow is a weapon. It's a ranged bow weapon. It's two-handed. It attacks twice. On a 7+ it hits. It's got 3 damage, so it's as strong as the axe if it can hit. It's got a range of 6, and it's got this cumbersome rule. I'll read that to you in a second. And so what else it's got is aim. When you attack before rolling to hit, you may reduce the speed of your weapon by 1, in other words, 1 shot, to gain +2 accuracy for that attack. So if you really need that last hit, let's say it's the last hit to kill a monster, you might want to try that just so that you can get that accuracy bonus. It really is not that accurate. It's a 7+, but it's also got a range of 6, so it's going to keep that character out of range, hopefully. And maybe that character doesn't need to be so armored up as the rest. But like I said, it does have this cumbersome rule. So we'll go to the back of the book here. I'll read you what cumbersome is. A gear special rule. Survivors must spend both movement and activation to activate cumbersome gear. Ignore this if the weapon is activated indirectly, like from pounce or charge. So if Athena uses this, we'll give it to Athena. If Athena uses that catgut bow, she will not be moving. She'll have to use her movement and her action to fire the catgut bow. All right. Again, if we're going to armor up one of our folks, I think what we'll do, actually, we'll give cloth leggings, the one that Athena got. We'll move that over. It's not cursed. We can move it wherever we want. We're going to move that over to Eve. Eve's got the sword, because now Athena's going to try to stay away from the monster as far as possible and shoot that catgut bow if she can. If not, she'll run up and use fist and tooth. So if we're going to armor up Zeus, then what we're going to need is, I think we're going to try to give him a full rawhide armor set. So what he needs is the leggings, the pants anyways, the gloves. It's going to require 3 hide. So if we'll use the Shimmering Maid. So the Shimmering Maid says activate this or archive this and gain 2 basic hide resources. So there's 2. The lion tail makes 3. So we're going to go ahead and pull out from the skinnery the rawhide gloves. Okay. The rawhide pants. There we go. The rawhide boots. Okay. So when we put all of this onto Zeus's character sheet, okay, got the gloves. We'll go ahead and put that here just in case we lose the axe. Put the gloves so we can keep the red connection and the blue connection. The pants and the boots. Zeus is also going to get now the rawhide armor set. So the rawhide armor set, once you have them all, adds 1 armor to all hit locations, in addition to the 1 you're getting from the gear. So he's going to have 2 at every location. When you perform a survival action, roll a d10. On a 6+, you gain a survival. So basically, with this gear, whenever he uses a survival, there's a chance that he won't lose it, which is awesome. Says survival is very important in this game. And we'll put that on his gear grid so we can remember that. Okay, so we have this iron, and I think we're going to keep this iron. I'll put it back in the strange resources. But we'll keep the iron because later on in the game we really want to create better weapons with that iron. So I'll go ahead and I'll put it under resources. And so this modified settlement sheet, I put it under resources. And now we're left with some lion testes and some love juice. So again, really, Zeus is the only one armored up. We're really going to make sure that he's the target for the white lion as much as we can. He does have +2 evasion because he does have monster grease and the rawhide vest that's got connections. So now he's got 2 armor on every location. 2 organs. We could use the love juice to do intimacy, which may not be a bad thing because we can get the principle of life. Can't really do anything with the bonesmith. The organ grinder is the only other one that I'm considering, because we could get another monster grease. We do have 3 innovations also. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and I might augury. So augury says the survivor endeavors to glean the meaning of existence. Roll on the table. Add +1 to your roll result. If your understanding is 3 or higher, you could initiate intimacy. You could just gain survival, which is not bad again. And we can lose 1 resource. And if we do, we gain an understanding. Not so bad either. Love juice will automatically initiate the intimacy story event, but we could use that as an organ and possibly get maybe even another monster grease. Not that I like loading up on monster grease. We're going to go ahead and use it and initiate intimacy. So when you initiate intimacy, we're going to go to the intimacy story event in the book. And I'll go ahead and read this to you. So nominate 1 consenting male and 1 consenting female survivor and roll on the intimacy table below. So we don't want to name any of our survivors that we have going out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and name 2 more survivors. So we're going to name Apollo. And we're going to name Bathsheba. Okay, so Apollo and Bathsheba decide they're going to get busy. And they're going to roll on the intimacy story event. Remember, high is always good. That's a 7. That's good. So we go down to the 7 result. Okay. And the settlement gains +1 population. Oops, sorry, a little bit lower. The male and female survivors share a deep bond and gain +10 survival each. Well, that's awesome. But our settlement limit is only 4. So Apollo's going to get +4 survival. And Bathsheba's going to get +4 survival. And they're going to have a male. He's born in Lantern Year 2. Thor. I'll mark it down in the sheet that they gave birth to Thor. And our population goes to 15. So there is a milestone associated with that. So we will take care of that in a second. That is the end of intimacy. So if we flip to the front of our settlement record sheet, what you see is new life. So new life is the first thing that happens. So we can choose one of these principles: protect the young or survival of the fittest. There's a lot of debate over which one you should choose. I've heard arguments on both sides. I tend to always choose protect the young. Okay, principle of new life. All right, so the group must decide how to raise their young. Choose one. Do I choose to raise without mercy or with affection? Again, like I said, I tend to choose protect the young quite often. But I tell you what I'm going to do for this campaign, because I've really only played with survival of the fittest a couple times. I'm going to roll. So let the fates decide. Survival of the fittest 1 through 5, and protect the young 6 through 10. So it's an 8. So we're going to go with protect the young. All right, so we're going to raise with affection. It says the settlement embraces the child with warm arms. Ah, nurturing new life is the highest calling. The settlement gains the new life principle, protect the young. Find and place the card on your settlement board and note it on the settlement record sheet. After adding the card to the settlement, roll a d10. Okay, so we'll do what the card says. We have our first principle. Oops, that's the testes. We have our first principle, protect the young. The children are the future. When rolling on the intimacy story event, roll twice and pick a result. So that's going to allow us to avoid some of the nasty things, hopefully, on intimacy. So now it says after you add that to the settlement record sheet, so we'll go ahead and add it. And we'll fill in, protect the young. Okay, so I filled it in. And I'm going to put principal bonuses, I'm going to put roll twice on intimacy. And then it says roll a d10. High is always good. Come on. 8. So a 6 through 10 says, the child is raised by the entire settlement and endowed with the hopes and the wisdom of all. The newborn survivor gains +2 understanding and the strategist fighting art. So +2 understanding for Thor and strategist. So I guess the whole village is teaching Thor how to fight and how to be more strategic. Okay, so I have the strategist fighting art. Zoom in it a little closer for you. And there it is. So I'll read the text to you. During the showdown setup, after placing terrain, you may add a giant stone face or a toppled pillar terrain card to the showdown board. Basically, he's choosing where he wants to fight and how they're going to attack the white lion from what direction so that he's got the most cover, the most terrain to help him out. So, great job on that one. And now if you look down here, we'll fill in the milestone story event where it says first child is born, principle of life. If you look down here, it says population reaches 15. Guess what? That's where we are. So we'll fill that in. It is the principal society. So again, we'll go to the book and we'll look at principal society. There once was a mad woman who spent her days talking to the darkness. One day, it spoke back. The group must choose one. So we have collective toil, and we have accept the darkness. What collective toil does is it'll add bone wish to the timeline. We get collective toil, and if I remember right, collective toil kind of gives you additional endeavors, which is good whenever you return, based upon your population size. And then you have accept the darkness. So accept the darkness allows you to add 2 to your brain trauma rolls. And I'll tell you right now, again, I always choose accept the darkness. But for this campaign, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let the fates decide. I actually kind of like this randomness. I've never used collective toil. It just doesn't seem to be as good as accept the darkness. But we're going to go ahead and let the fates decide. So 1 through 5, let's go ahead and do collective toil. And 6 through 10, we'll go ahead and accept the darkness. 4, collective toil. Well, this will be something new and different for me. Okay. So, tainted by darkness, a survivor nearly brought ruin to the settlement. On the day of her exile, the people decided that all must spend equal time hunting and working to avoid future disasters. -1 population. Add Bone Witch to the timeline 3 years from now. Well, so far I don't see the benefit of this. So Bone Witch 3 years. 1, 2, 3. We'll reduce our population by 1. And I'll go ahead. I'll take one of our females. And she didn't die. She just left. I'm guessing that she becomes the Bone Witch. So we'll just erase her from existence and pretend like she is gone. The settlement gains a society principle collective toil. Find and place the card on the settlement board and note it in the settlement record sheet, adding the card to the settlement. Okay? So here's collective toil. It says, your settlement leans into the storm. If everyone holds strong, you will triumph. At the start of the settlement phase, so that'll start next settlement phase, at the start of the settlement phase, gain 1 endeavor for every 10 population. And we'll see how that works out for us. And down here, I've added it to the sheet, and I've put +1 endeavor per 10 population. Then it says, after adding the card to the settlement phase, roll a d10. All right, so I'm looking at this. None of it is bad. Hopefully it's high. High is always good. 2. That's okay. All survivors gain survival up to the survival limit. So that's good. Our survival limit is 4 right now. So all of our survivors are up to 4. Now take note that that doesn't say all returning survivors. Neither does it say all departing survivors. It says all survivors. So we're going to look at the back of the sheet, and I'm going to add +4s to everyone. Okay, I have done that, and that's the end of Principle Society. So those 2 events, Principle of Life, Principle of New Life, and Principle Society, were both trigger of the fact that we drank the love juice. We do have 3 endeavors left, and we have lion testes. With the lion testes, I guess we could actually make a frenzy drink. Can we? Yeah, frenzy drink. 1 lion testes. That'll put your give them frenzied brain trauma, which sounds bad, but it actually will help your character out, increasing speed and increasing, I believe it's a strength. But I think I'm going to go ahead and use the testes to build another monster grease. So we'll give that monster grease to Eve, and I've done that. I'll go ahead and update Eve's evasion +1, thanks to the monster grease. And let me just verify the characters all have the correct information. And they do. And now I'm left with 3 endeavors. So I could get Stone Noses. What Stone Noses does, it allows you to get +1 survival and +1 insanity. None of my characters actually need that right now. Shared experience. So nominate a survivor that has 2 or more hunt experience than yourself. They describe illuminating details of their desired death. If you are not deaf, gain +1 hunt experience. So I could give some of my characters +1 hunt experience, some of these survivors that haven't gone out, just by telling them some stories. I could build some Stone Noses, which I don't know how useful that is. We could augury, which could possibly give us some more population. Let's go ahead, and I think I'm going to share, Zeus is going to share his experience with Thor. So Thor is also going to get +1 hunt experience. Wow, I should probably take Thor out, but let me stick with the beginning survivors for right now. Now we have 2 more endeavors. Nobody needs any more insanity. Nobody needs any more survival. Yeah, I tell you what, we're going to buy 2 Stone Noses. Sorry that took so long. It's just deciding what resources to get is difficult at times. So we'll go ahead and give Zeus and Adam, why not, the Stone Noses. And so if they lose some survival on the hunt, they'll get it back. And they'll become a little more insane once they actually get to the showdown. Well, we're out of resources, so we're out of developing anything. So we'll skip over all of this and go right to prepare departing survivors. So I'll get some more appropriate characters to represent our survivors. But preparing departing survivors, what we do is we take a look at all the armor, make sure that the armor is updated, make sure that all of their stats are updated, and make sure they have the equipment that we want to have on them. And looking around, I do. Okay, it's not a special showdown time, so we'll record and archive resources. That's already done. We do that throughout the time. And then we end the settlement phase. So right now we could hunt the screaming antelope. We could hunt the white lion. I think I don't have dash right now, and dash is pretty important for the screaming antelope fight. The antelope tends to run all over the place. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and fight this white lion again. So let me mark that down on the sheet that we are going to go ahead and hunt the white lion. So I've got white lion level 0, white lion level 1, white lion level 1, and endless screams. Over here I record what story events we had. So we had Dark Trader. We didn't do anything with Dark Trader because we don't have a whole lot of resources yet. But I did put Dark Trader down here so we can keep track of it. And that is the end of that. I will go ahead and mark, this is a lot of the bookkeeping I was talking about. There's a lot of administrative bookkeeping for this. I went ahead and filled in Katerin. Make sure we have everything marked down. And we do. Also, just to let you know, over here on my survivors, I also marked down that Athena killed the white lion level 1. I'll put lantern year 1. And I also put down that Adam showed an inability to wield the axe. So we'll just say Adam has a problem wielding the axes, and we won't put that on him this time. So these are the characters we're going to take out and hunt the white lion level 1 when I show up next. You've got Zeus, who's crazed and is our tank, as well as he has the bone axe. You've got Adam, who is specializing in fist and tooth. He does have a +2 strength. You do have Eve, who is got the leader ability, so she's got more leader skills than anyone else. She does have a -1 strength. She does have these special cloth leggings that we found. And then you have Athena. Athena, we gave the catgut bow, so she's going to try to keep her distance, hopefully, and take care of this white lion from a distance. So that's what we'll do. I'll set up the hunt board. We'll hunt the white lion next. I'll put away the settlement, and I'll also update my little settlement over here.